Oh, Daniel Hand, RPG therapist. I have a face. I'm so sorry, that means you've got to look at it. But hey, my eyes! Oh, I can use them again. And this is going to be a bit of an ad hoc video. I had something else planned. I'll just give that out to you next week. But a couple of days ago, I had a chat with some friends, and that's just been percolating in the back of my mind. So I thought I would just ramble slightly and make you listen to me. Basically, as many of you will know, I also have another channel about writing called the International Writers Fellowship, both here on YouTube and over on Twitch, in which me and some friends, including Erica Walker, who I spoke to a couple of weeks ago, where we just geek out about writing, basically. A few days ago, we did a live stream, which we do every Monday, by the way, 9 p.m. British time, 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And because it was just Erica and I, it was basically a continuation of our chat and a video a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to see us nerding out over RPGs as well as writing, by all means, have a look there. But somehow we got onto the topic of RPGs and writing RPGs, and I just realized I ended up complaining about something that I realized I've been complaining a lot about lately. So I thought I would just air my grievances here, and hopefully you guys can tell me why I'm wrong. Basically, I've noticed that I am becoming less and less amenable to using games which don't have their own systems. So back up. I've been complaining essentially about Powered by the Apocalypse games a lot recently. I was having a chat with Craig over on Third Floor Wars for his podcast and was moaning about it there. I was complaining about it to Erica on Monday. A client and I, for some reason, got into talking about it a few days ago. And I just realized that I'm starting to lump PbtA in with my feelings towards D&D material. And I just wanted to kind of think out loud. So the way I see it, basically, we've got three approaches to designing and running playing RPGs. You've got blank systems, which are just mechanics that say roll a die at this particular moment, and what you roll, if you roll well, great. If you don't, boo. And those games come with no setting material at all. It is entirely upon the game master, or whatever they call it, to produce the world and the characters and etc. and go from there. So I'm thinking a bit of things like Fate, GURPS, obviously, that was a big one, and Savage Worlds. I've got Savage Worlds here. Quest. They are just the system without any, or certainly much, context. And of that list, you'll have some which are genre specific. So Quest, for example, is very much a fantasy blank system, but you've still got to create your world and the monsters and everything in it. So that's group one. Group two is where you have kind of a blanket set of rules which have been applied to fresh games. So you've got Dungeons and Dragons. The amount of 5e material out there, is mind-boggling. But all of that is somebody has taken the rules of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition and applied it to a world, a game, an IP, whatever. So you've got the Lord, instead of the One Ring, you've got the 5e Adventures in Middle Earth. Same for Coriolis, and etc. etc. You've got Greek mythology supplements. You've all of these things. It's just taking 5e rules and applying it to another setting. Obviously, you've got Forbidden Lands, Forbidden Realms, Forgotten Realms, whatever it's called. Forbidden Lands is Free League, isn't it? Forgotten Realms. But the majority of 5e material out there is people taking D&D rules and applying it to their own thing. And also, you've got PbtA in there now. So it started off with Apocalypse World, and now you've got X number of games which use that system. And then the third grouping is where the authors have taken a world or setting a world, a feel, a genre, and designed a game bespoke to that experience. They've designed a system to give the players as good an experience for that setting as possible. The one, obviously, that I'm going to mention is the One Ring, because it's just, to me, that game is perfect. Lord of the Rings. They've, rather than just take 5e and apply it to Middle Earth, which again they have done with Adventures in Middle Earth, but they created a system designed specifically to feel like you're playing a J.R.R. Tolkien story. And again, there are plenty of other systems designed specifically to do that with other settings. Righteous Blood, Ruthless Blades is a fantastic one if you want to play Chinese wuxia games. I need to look at that at some point. And I've realized as time goes on, I really, really am just embracing that third and final group. I have realized my favorite kind of games are those which are built to give you a specific experience. The plain systems I like the idea of, but to me personally, it's just a bit too much work to go in. I again, being an author, I spend a lot of my time world building anyway, and I don't know. I come to RPGs to relax outside of client work, and so I'm being lazy. I want somebody else to do the work for me. And when for that second category, it just doesn't scratch that particular itch, I've noticed, to the point where I've avoided buying certain games which have had rave reviews simply because I go, well, it's not really its own system. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much. The one I'm thinking of right now is Wildsea, which I have heard nothing but drooling opinions of ever since it was released. But I got it into my head that it was a PbtA game. It isn't. It's a Forge in the Dark game. But then again, Forge in the Dark is PbtA on steroids. But I've just I instinctively recoiled is a bit strong, but went, yes, the setting sounds amazing. The character classes look awesome, but again, mistakenly, I was going, it's PbtA. We've seen it all before. And I think I'm just starting to become a bit pickier as time goes by with the games I'm buying, largely because I have to be, because A, I don't have much room. Look behind me. And B, these things cost money. Any excuse I can get to not buy a book, I am going to grab hold of. And I don't find enough excuses, I think is the point I'm trying to make there. And I suppose I'm kind of looking for people here to give me a reason why I should give those games a chance a bit more, because I've spoken about a couple of Powered by the Apocalypse games before. I mean, Thirsty Sword Lesbians. You know, the number of times I pull this off my shelf just to go, oh, you need to play this, is, I mean, it annoys my friends. We've got Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I'm playing Avatar Legends with Charlene, Derek, and Emily. They are good games, but I confess, every time I hear that there's a Powered by the Apocalypse game, or sorry, there's a game coming out, even if it looks cool and that it's PbtA, I'm starting to have the same reaction I have when I see a game come out and say, oh, it's 5e. There's a Kickstarter, I believe, on at the moment for an Adventure Time RPG. I love Adventure Time. It was one of the things that I used to watch with my son when he was very young, and we watched it because I wanted to watch it, not because he wanted to watch it. And I was so excited because they were originally going to make a bespoke system for an Adventure Time game to give it the feel of an episode of Adventure Time. But no, they've decided they're just going to make it a 5e game. And so, as much as I love it, I love Adventure Time, I don't feel able to back that particular Kickstarter. I kept getting emails this past month about is it Magpie? I think it's Magpie, for a pirate game, Rapscallion. Again, I love pirates, give me pirates. And the art was amazing, it sounded cool, but Magpie only do PbtA, I believe. Therefore, there are reasons why I'm going off PbtA. As I say, there's just so much of it now, and so many people love it. And I have to be the one. No, if everybody else likes it, I'm not playing it. I'm special. So there is an element of just doing it just to refuse to go along with the crowd, but also, I don't know, Powered by the Apocalypse games are getting more and more complicated in my experience. So the original Apocalypse World, which I can't pull out and show you because I lent it to a friend a while ago and still haven't got it back. So Rich, if you're watching this, remember, I know where you live. But that initial game, very simple. You know, the number of moves you had was very limited, so and therefore they applied to a lot of circumstances, and you could do a lot with a little. Whereas now, trying to drill down and make the PbtA system work with a particular setting or scenario in mind, the authors often have to twist that very simple rules system into something a bit more specific. And I find that, including, for example, increasing the number of different moves available to the players, which means where you had a couple of pages worth of moves to begin with, now you've got a chapter of moves, and somebody needs to be au fait with all of those moves. I mean, okay, yeah, some of them are character playbook specific, but you're not going to get the best, in air quotes, experience out of it until you instinctively know which moves you're going to make. Whereas opposed to, other games, okay, I'm in a situation, I roll a die, yay, boo, move on. And so that's kind of where I'm going off, like I say, these games where they've got a base set of mechanics which they are contorting and shoving into this other. I don't know why I did that. That was a very graphic hand gesture. I do apologize. Where they're taking pre-existing rules and applying them to something which, frankly, doesn't really work with them. I mean, I've read Adventures in Middle-earth. To me, it is not as good as The One Ring for giving the game the feel of Middle-earth. Indeed. And the same can be said for other things like Adventure Time, like Avatar. I think Avatar would have benefited greatly from having its own system. I think they've done a decent enough job with what they've got, but I think, as you'll see in our actual play, I trip up quite frequently when I've got to remember what a move is, because there are just so many of the damn things, and that I've got to flick through the rules and go, huh? And that ain't good for play, either socially or with clients. And yeah, don't get me wrong, D&D, PbtA, Fate, GURPS, all of them have lots of things going for them, otherwise they wouldn't be as popular as they are. But I suppose what I'm advocating here is keep an eye out for games where the authors have very clearly gone into the design process wanting to give you a particular feel, rather than wanting to give you a game that, yeah, just a product that they can sell. And that's a bit unfair. I know, I appreciate that. But as I say, I was having this conversation with Erica and with Craig over the weekend, and I just realized that I've spent so much time recently complaining about D&D, PbtA, and other games like that. I mean, obviously, D&D has its own problems. I mean, the sending, Wizards of the Coast sending the Pinkertons round to intimidate reviewers, the whole OGL business, the under-monetized idea. So politically and ethically, I have issues with Wizards of the Coast and therefore Dungeons and Dragons. But even with PbtA, it's just, I don't know. I want my games to give me a specific feel these days, and I'm realizing recently that the only way for me to get that particular feel is to hunt out games which go out of their way to give that feel. And no matter how well written or thought out some of these other games are, contorting a pre-existing set of rules to meet, insert X setting here, just doesn't work for me. And so I just realized I've been complaining about it a lot, and now I've spent the best part of 20 minutes complaining to you about it. And because it's been such a long rant, I'll leave it there. But yeah, just had this chat over the weekend, and it's just been playing on my mind. So I thought I would use you as a sounding board and let me figure out what it is I'm complaining about. But seriously though, I mean, please be polite, but I would genuinely appreciate it if you could put down in the comments what you feel I'm missing with some of these games, because I want to, between you and me, I want to enjoy as much of my life as possible, and that includes enjoying as many RPGs as possible. And if I'm not going to buy games just because they have a system attached to them, then odds are I'm missing out, like with Wild Sea, for example. Wait, again, not PbtA, but so please, if tell me where I'm wrong, and hopefully I can learn something from you. But that's just been playing on my mind. And again, I will talk about other PbtA games and systems that might or might not be appropriate in therapy. Like I say, a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games focus very heavily on emotions. So yay, great for therapeutic work. But socially as well, please do point out holes in my logic, and I'd appreciate that. Or if you agree, by all means, please. I like it when people agree with me. But yeah, please do give us your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will hopefully return to a more scripted video next week. Thanks for sticking around with that little ramble. Please do like, share, and subscribe as usual, and I'll speak to you next week. So until then, take it easy, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and have a good one. Cheers.